In this video, I'm going to show you how to make this beautiful solid wood bookshelf with adjustable shelves. Follow along, and in the next few minutes, you'll see how fun and easy and inexpensive it is to build your own furniture. I went ahead and cut all of my boards already, and that's a practice that I recommend you follow too, because if you're using your work table as also your cutting table, you're not having to, cut and go drill some pocket holes, assemble, cut. You can just cut and then move on to the next task, which we'll be doing in this video. However, for the trim boards, I want those to be absolutely perfect. So I'm going to cut those at the end so they match up just right and all the corners are absolutely perfect. Follow along and you'll see how I did that. Also, I went ahead and drilled all of my pocket holes on the main pieces by simply marking wherever I looked at the plan and saw there needed to be a pocket hole, set my jig up for 3/4 inch stock, and just went and drilled away. So that brings us to time to assemble. What I'm doing right here is just marking all of the joints so I know when I go to attach the boards exactly where all the boards go. I'm just using the square cut that I used to cut with as my square. It's always good to have tools that serve a variety of purposes. Less tools is, it makes building less expensive. And also it's just less things to keep track of. So we've got that marked. And then it's just as simple as, and I'll do it this way so you can see, as following the plan. I talk all about each one of these steps in the plan. Just get me some screws. I've got my drill loaded up with my driving bit. And I'm just going to, you can actually use a right angle clamp here, but if you don't have one, just let the gravity, the weight of the board work for you. And I'll start with the screw closest to me. Always start with the easiest screw that you can get placed accurately because it'll act as a clamp, holding the board in place as you move on down. Okay, so just steady downward pressure. And as long as you get that screw started right, it'll go in nice and tight and everything will square up. Okay? And then just remember to keep, as you use wider width boards, we're using 1x12s here, you always want to mark the entire joint so that just in case your board has a little crown to it or has a little, it's not quite as square as you'd wish it to be, then wood will move. You can bend the board and force it onto that line as you go. So just one more screw. And I love working with my pocket hole jig, and I love working with these screws because look how strong that is. There's no flopping around. It's actually a really strong joint, and it's really, really easy to make. So I'm just going to go ahead and keep assembling this storage frame, and in just a minute we'll be adding the sides to it. Well, we're on our last screw. I'm putting this box together. There you go. And this makes up the basic storage for this piece. We're just going to add some fancy trim to it, a face frame and some shelves, and we will have ourselves a cubby storage unit in no time. So now we're getting to the really fun part. We've got our box built, and it's time to put a face frame on it. I really like to build my face frame independent because that means all of our joints are nice and tight, look really professional and really pretty when we're done. And I've got them clamped, and just steady downward pressure, and you can see that it pulled in. Now we're going to do the screw that's closer to the end here. This is the one that you got to be really careful. You could take a little drill bit and pre-drill a hole if you wanted, if you were using really fine hardwood and were concerned about it splitting. This poplar is pretty forgiving. So there we go. I like clamping because it just really frees up your hands and allows you to be really patient. And there's just no stress about getting that joint just right. There we go. And the last one. Unclamp it. I'm just going to flip it around so that we're always using the table and the clamp to our benefit. Okay. And this actually sits up 2 inches. So let me grab my measuring tape and square. 2 inches. And we'll mark the other side as well. And go ahead and clamp. Okay, and then I'm just gonna go ahead and clamp both sides so that as we put those screws in, it's square over here. And this is just good practice. Okay, so you ready? There we are. And this is gonna go, there we go, just like this over the face of the cabinet. And wow, it looks really great. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and build the back. It's the same thing. And when we come back, we'll be nailing the face frames directly to the storage box. Well, I got my face frames all built. It was pretty easy. They're sitting over there. But before I attach the face frames, I want to add the shelf pin holes because it's just easier now, right? I'm using a shelf pin jig, and you are going to love how easy this is. So I've just cut a spacer where I want to start the shelf because, you know, you wouldn't want to start the shelf pins here because why would you ever want a shelf, you know, right there? So we felt like the lowest we wanted this shelf to be would be about 10 inches, and that's the height of this block. And then I've got the jig just set here, and it matches the corner. You can actually adjust it so, you know, it could sit inset if you had the face frame already attached. There we go. It comes with a handy little bit, and this is all you do, is you drill your first hole. Okay? Once that first hole is drilled, it comes with this little pin, and you just insert it in that hole. And that keeps this locked in place so that you can just continue to drill with confidence that your shelf pins are lined up in the right positions. Then when you want to move up, to keep these pins equal distance apart, just keep that in there and insert the pin in the last hole that you drilled, and you can just keep on drilling. So when we go to the other side, this jig is completely symmetrical, so you can just pull that pin out, flip her around, make sure you're nice and flush. Drill that first hole, insert your shelf pin, nice and tight, make sure it's there, and it is. You want to keep this flush to the edge, and there we go. Let's grab the face frame, and we'll just put it on top like, woo, this. This is a bigger project. So if you've got, your neighbor wants to come over and have a cup of coffee, you could ask her to give you a hand here. Notice how we put the pocket holes down so you'll never see them. Isn't that a pretty fit? We're just gonna nail this. Now, of course, if you wanted to, and many people prefer to, you could drill pocket holes along this edge and just attach it with pocket holes. But for these purposes, I am going to nail it. Let me get my safety glasses. And we've got a pin nailer. It's loaded up with nails that are coated with glue, but of course it would be a good idea as well to just apply glue to the exposed edges and nail it down. Whenever you're using nails, make sure you use glue because the glue is what really holds it together. The nails just hold it together while the glue dries, okay? And I'm just gonna start in this corner, and we'll just, there we go. I'm just keeping the outside edges nice and flush. It's a good idea to come check, you know, your opposite edge and work your way down. You want to space your nails, you know, every 6-8 inches and at the beginning and the end of all joints. So that's it. That's our face frame. We'll flip it over. We'll put the back on. After we put the face frame on this project, there is no reason why we couldn't grab the bucket of paint and start painting it. But I wanted to add a little extra touch of fancy to it in the form of this molding. It's just store-bought molding, and I didn't measure it. I just laid it on top and marked it, so I'm getting a really precise length. Then I cut the corners at a 45-degree bevel, and I've got it clamped in place just to make sure we get that nice, seamless, perfect joint here. The closer you get to, the finished project, the more precise you want to be and the more time and the more clamps you want to use. Okay, so let me get my safety glasses on, and I'm just going to nail this on. And again, we're using the nails with the glue. And there we go. And we just want to continue to nail all the way down. I'm going to be putting a little extra nails in here because, this is the piece that your kid's going to kick and your vacuum cleaner is going to hit, so you want to make sure it's on pretty good. And then what I have done here is I've just cut the remaining pieces of the trim at a 45-degree bevel to match. But as you can see, that they are too long. I've done this on purpose so I can just go ahead and mark how long they are going to be right here, and then we'll go to the saw and cut them. Well, our footer is all done, and I'm just going to move on up to the header, take my clamps with me, finish that up, and we will have completed our project. Just got to put this last shelf in place. Just like that. Look at that nice tight fit. With that, we have built a cubby bookshelf in just it took me about a few hours. It'll probably take you the same. It's complete with molding on the top, molding on the bottom, completely adjustable shelves on all sides. Of course, it's solid wood. We left the back open so your beautiful wall color will show through. If you would like to build this cubby bookshelf yourself, free plans are always available at anna-white.com. If you enjoyed this video, please take a second to share or like it. But most of all, I hope you will build this project and come share photos of it. Thank you so much.